Hey guys, this is gonna be a pull plan from right now all the way up to version 3.8. There is gonna be a lot going on, so we're not gonna only establish a pull plan, but we also will create a priority list. Let me get the very first priority for everyone out of the way right now. That is the fact that Nautica, the best character ever, receives the Euphoria update in the 3rd anniversary, which I will keep referring to as 3.7. That makes her and her Blood type teammates the #1 priority for every single player on the planet. There is another very important thing that you have to know right out of the gate, and that is Rihanna. Rihanna is going to be the best in slot and also played in this Blood type lineup. So every single Unilog that you will spend moving on from right now, you will have to take into consideration and plan ahead so that you have the Unilogs available to pull for both Nautica, in case you don't already have her, and Rihanna. That is your #1 highest priority. And even if that would mean you will skip Enigma, you will skip everything in your path to obtain these two characters, that is exactly what you're gonna do. Now, those are only two pieces of the Blood type lineup. You will still have to obtain Semmelweis and or Medicine Pocket. Here is how you can do that. Medicine Pocket and Semmelweis will be part of the Euphoria banner in 3.7. You can grab both of them here for rather cheap. That is something else that you need to do in 3.7. Now, Medicine Pocket is not the true best in slot character for this Blood type lineup. The best sustain for this team would be Robushka. Here's how you can obtain Robushka. In 3.7 there will be this banner right here called Promise of the Water. And this banner will let you select one 6-star character that you pull for. And as you can see here in the silhouettes, Robushka is gonna be part of the pool of characters that you can choose to pull for. So that would be a way to obtain Robushka, but keep in mind that would cost you additional Unilogs. There is another way of you are being able to spend $30 to obtain yourself the item Souvenir of Companionship. For $30 you obtain 10 Unilogs and a 6-star character of your choice from the standard pool. Robushka is going to be part of the standard pool at that point, so you can grab her here as well. Let me repeat that. There is going to be a banner called Promise of the Water that you can pull for Robushka 4 with your Unilogs. Additionally, you can buy an item called Souvenir of Companionship from the shop for $30, obtain 10 Unilogs, and get Robushka therefore for $20 if you wish to obtain that. And this is how you can establish the entire best in slot Blood type team in 3.7, and that is exactly gonna be your highest priority. You don't necessarily need Robushka. You can also get away with using Medicine Pocket and grab him from this Euphoria banner. Okay, now the most important thing by far is out of the way. So now let's start and go about things in order. The very next character we will be able to pull for, in theory, would be Barcelona. Barcelona is gonna be rerunning on the 30th this month. So from me making this video, that would be tomorrow. That is not a coincidence. That is because it is very likely to predict that Barcelona's Euphoria update is not too far away anymore. I would even go as far and predict, as you probably know if you watch my videos, that we get the Barcelona Euphoria update in the collaboration. So keep that in mind. Whatever happens, do not under any circumstances pull on this rerun banner. Wait until Barcelona actually receives her Euphoria update, and then she will be on the Euphoria banner, which means you can obtain her for half the price compared to pulling for her on this rerun banner. Alright, then next up is gonna be version 3.6, and there the character Enigma is gonna be released. And here's the kicker. This character is generally speaking, of course, gonna be a must pull. That is the last piece of the metagame. We already talked about all of this kind of crap, right? He's gonna be worth your Unilog investment because he's from the Dynamo archetype. Dynamo is the second best archetype in the entire game after Blood Tide, so this is a no-brainer. But, hear me out. Of course, you're gonna pull for him no matter what if you are already in possession and invested into the characters Brumé and or Corvus. If that is the case, just go right ahead and pull for Enigma no matter what. If you would play the Dynamo archetype with Lucy though, then I would highly recommend you wait until we have confirmation that Lucy actually receives her Euphoria update in the collaboration. The chances of Lucy actually receiving her Euphoria in the collaboration are around 99.99%, but this is still not 100% confirmed just yet. Now imagine the scenario, you don't have Corvus, you don't have Brumé, then you're gonna go in early to pull for Enigma, and then Lucy wouldn't receive her Euphoria update in the collaboration, then you would have wasted your Unilogs on Enigma. So the recommendation that I want to give you is, if you don't have Corvus and or Brumé, wait until you pull for Enigma. Don't go right ahead and invest into him on July 2nd, right? Hold your horses, chill out a little bit, and prolong, right? Delay your Enigma pulls as much as you possibly can, so that you can wait and hope that we get information about the collaboration and have that Lucy Euphoria update confirmed. And only after this is confirmed, you're gonna go in and pull for Enigma then. If you don't have Corvus and Brumé, plus the collaboration information would drop and would not include a Lucy Euphoria, then you can skip Enigma and save your resources or more resources for the 3rd anniversary. Okay, with that out of the way, let's keep moving. After version 3.6, we're gonna get the collaboration. It is very reasonable to predict and assume that we're gonna skip the new characters that are presented to us in the collaboration. They will be pretty bad. That is very safe to say. Okay, now they're gonna be Euphoria updates though, and this is where things get interesting. Look, for example, right, if Lucy gets her Euphoria update in the collaboration and you don't have Lucy, that turns her into an absolute must pull. Even if you have Corvus and Brumé, you wasted your resources on these characters, right? It doesn't matter, you have to still pull for Lucy. There is going to be no way around this turbo broken DPS character for the Dynamo archetype. That makes Enigma and Lucy both must pulls if Lucy receives her Euphoria update in the collaboration. Now we will get at least one more Euphoria. We don't know which one or which ones though, so that remains something to be seen. If this would be Barcelona, then it depends. She will then be reworked into an instrument archetype, and more about this team a little bit later on. For the information that we have right now, we only know about the rerun banner for Barcelona, and that is an absolute must skip, no-brainer right there. So let's get the other characters that we already talked about into here and sort them out. So Nautica, of course, we talked about it, by far the highest priority. That is gonna be a must pull. If you don't have her and you don't have her teammates, then you're gonna pull for every single one of them. That includes Semmelweis, that includes Medicine Pocket from the Euphoria banner. The scenario with Robushka, it depends a little bit on how rich you are, on how many Unilogs you have. Do you want to make that investment for Robushka? That depends solely on your Unilogs and how do you want to go about things. You can get away by using Medicine Pocket as a sustain and grab him from the Euphoria banner. So Medicine Pocket is gonna be a must pull, and for Robushka it depends. Of course, if you're gonna decide you go for Robushka, and then you would not go for Medicine Pocket obviously, and that would make him a skip, right? That is pretty easy to understand. Additionally, we have the last member of the Blood Tie team, the last character that is going to be the best in slot there, with Rihanna. That is also a no-brainer. She comes into the game with a very brand new busted mechanic of giving your team an extra turn, and therefore this is going to be a must pull, no-brainer call right here as well. In version 3.6 we also get the Euphoria update for Recoleta. Enigma is going to be released as the new character. Recoleta sees a Euphoria update, and that, we talked about that a couple of times already, is going to be a must skip no matter how you look at it. Then in 3.7 there is going to be the whole Blood Tie thing with Nautica and Rhiannon happening, right? Talked about it. Additionally though, we have Regulus receiving her Euphoria update and becoming part of a brand new archetype that we call Instrument. Plus the second character that is going to be released alongside Rihanna is going to be Mrs. Stranger. Let's talk about them. Regulus is going to be the number 2 or number 3 best main DPS character in the entire game after Nautica and most likely Lucy, depending on her Euphoria update. So that is something that you absolutely don't want to miss out on. Obviously the third best main DPS character should be part of your roster. Additionally, she is going to be reworked into the new Instrument archetype, and you also don't want to miss out on a brand new archetype that is introduced at a major anniversary. So Regulus is going to be an absolute must pull no matter what as well. Not the highest priority, but more onto portrays and how the priority for all of those characters turn out in just a second. Then Mrs. Stranger, we already talked about her kit and what the whole scenario with her non-archetype is and stuff. It's gonna be an absolute must skip. That character is terrible. After version 3.7, which is gonna be the 3rd anniversary, we're gonna be heading into version 3.8, where the characters Ever Echo and Cornerstone are gonna be released. That is very simple and straightforward. Let's talk about Ever Echo first. That is going to be the sustain character for the brand new Instrument archetype. She's going to be played together with Regulus and Coppelia. So since you don't want to miss out on Regulus, that is a brand new archetype that is introduced at a major anniversary. It's a no-brainer. You don't want to skip on this character and on this archetype, so you need a sustain character for this archetype. That is gonna be Ever Echo, and therefore you have to pull for Ever Echo. Easy and straightforward. Then Cornerstone is a complete weirdo. She has mechanics going on that focus around counter-attacking, so that the newly established Euphoria update for Jay is not completely alone and left in the dust. But yeah, I mean, this is so niche, so weird, so bad. That is gonna be a must skip character of all time. Like, so bad, it's actually unbelievable. And there we go. It falls of course right in line. I want to mention that one more time, that in Reverse 1999 it is the case, it is the design philosophy of this game, and it is part of the very beauty and a huge reason why this game is so good as it is. We have a bunch of new players coming in and watching my videos, so let me emphasize this one more time. Reverse 1999's developer philosophy is that if we pull for a character in a new version, or for, the characters, I should say, in a new version, it's only ever gonna be one at max. We always gonna pull for one character and skip the other. Usually it goes by, there's one version where we have a must pull character, next version is a complete skip, then there's gonna be one character that is a must pull, then we skip, right? That is usually how it goes. There is of course here and there a curveball thrown at us, especially around anniversaries. And it follows the trend right here that, of course, in the 3rd anniversary in version 3.7, we have to pull for a bunch of characters. That is obvious. We're always gonna have to manage our resources very, very well to be prepared for this 3rd anniversary, and the collab comes in clutch for that kind of crap. Okay, and then in the version 3.8, we're gonna pull for Cornerstone. That is gonna be the must pull character there, and therefore we already know that Cornerstone is a must skip character. Is this as easy as that? And this is a reason, one of the biggest reasons why this game is so super free to play friendly, as you always have a lot of characters that you can freely skip without missing out on any meta shenanigans. There's always a version that you can skip, there's always a character per version that you can skip, and from 4 characters that are going to be released, you only ever have to pull for 1 of them. That gives you time, as you can skip characters and you can save up so that the core meta piece is available to you as a free to play. I just want to mention that one more time real quick. Now let's hop into the priority list. By the way, in version 3.8 we get 2 Euphoria updates. They go to Beth and Jay. I forgot to mention them kind of because they are that irrelevant and they are must skips. Completely ignore those, please. And here, this is how easy the priority list actually goes. We have Bloodtide, of course. That is going to be the highest priority. Make sure you're going to pull for Rhiannon. Make sure you get Nautica and all of her teammates right. Keep in mind that if you want to mid-max this team a little bit and you are able to do the investment, then you want to get rid of Medicine Pocket and put in Robushka here as the best in slot instead. After that, we talked about the whole collaboration, Euphoria thing concerning Lucy. Postpone your Enigma pulls, wait for the Lucy Euphoria to be 100% confirmed, and once it is, you're gonna must pull for both Enigma and Lucy, because if Lucy receives her Euphoria, then Dynamo is gonna be the 2nd best team in the game, as it always is ever since that team released, and you don't wanna miss out on that, obviously. Your 3rd priority is gonna go to the instrument archetype, and you're gonna establish yourself the Euphoria update for Regulus, and then in version 3.8 you also must pull for Ever Echo so that you have the sustain for this new instrument archetype ready to go. That is gonna be about it. Now we also have to talk a little bit about portraits, of course, as people are wondering, hey, should I invest into Nautica portraits? Should I invest into Lucy portraits? What should I do? Should I go for Nautica portraits? Would that be more recommended than going for portraits for Rihanna, as Nautica is like the most cracked main DPS in the game ever, right? And yeah, these questions are very, very easy to answer. When we talk, first of all, let me start from the very beginning. The power creep in Reverse 1999 concerning characters does not exist. But if you complain about power creep in this game, you don't understand shit, and why do you even play this game? I'm gonna be honest with you. Now, where the power creep truly lies is in portraits. Portraits do get outdated quite fast, and that leads to portraits becoming gradually more and more important as we go. So that means Lucy portraits are out of the picture unless there is a possibility, just as they did with Regulus. They reworked Regulus portraits in the 3rd anniversary the moment they gave a Euphoria update. They could do the same thing in the collaboration, and when they give Lucy her Euphoria update, they might also rework her portraits. Then we gotta take a look at these portraits first and newly evaluate the situation there. I will of course keep you updated on this topic on my channel, so if you don't want to miss the news, consider leaving a follow on my channel, please. I would really appreciate it. for the information, for how it stands right now at the point of me making these videos, the portrays go towards Regulus and Rihanna. Now how we gonna go about the importance of portrays here is very, very difficult to call. This is a very, very close call, because yeah, the portray number 1 and 2 for Rihanna are generally speaking better than the portrays would be for Regulus. So you would give Rihanna a more potent boost in her viability compared as what you would do if you would get Regulus at P2. That is true, but Regulus is the main DPS, the number 2 or number 3 best main DPS in the entire game for a brand new archetype, you know, while Rihanna is quote unquote just a support. So it depends on how you wanna argue about it. You can take this both ways. So that is a decision that you would have to make for yourself. What do you personally value more? Fact of the matter is that for Rihanna, you wanna get her at P2. For Regulus, it's the same scenario. You wanna go for her P2 as well. If you wanna go further than that, let's say they won't rework Lucy's portrays in the collaboration when they give her Euphoria update. Let's just pretend that is not gonna happen, right? Then still, even after you have P2 Rihanna and P2 Regulus, you do not go away from these characters and then opt into portrays for Nautica or Lucy. No, you don't do that. If you want to go further than that, you're gonna invest more into Regulus portrays. If possible, you wanna P4 Regulus. That would be the true power spike that, if your investment allows it, that would be the best bet for your buck. You can even P5 her, right? So let me repeat that. The most important thing after you have gotten all of these characters, if you want to go further, you're gonna either P2 Rihanna or you're gonna P2 Regulus. You want to go further, you P2 both of them. You want to go even further than that, you keep going into portrays for Regulus. Don't make the mistake though and go for P3 Regulus and then stop there. No, right? If you want to go further than P2 Regulus, you go all the way to P4. You want to go further, P5 that crap, right? After P5 Regulus, you want more, bro. I don't want to stop you P5 Rihanna, right? Okay, and that is going to be the priority list and everything that you have to and or should pull for from now on, all the way up to version 3.8. I hope that video was fun and informative. If you like Reverse1999 content in general, please consider leaving a follow on my channel. I would really appreciate it. But until next time, take care of yourselves, have a great day, and we love this game.